It's time for the Pestrogen Podcast with your hosts, Jenny and Kandyce.
Hello, welcome to Pestrogen Podcast. Thanks for joining us again. This is technically episode 1 of season 1. Super exciting. My name is Jenny, your co-host. I had a pretty good week, a lot of long hours, so I'm excited. I had the whole weekend off. I spent some time in nature with my kids today, which was a breath of fresh air. So I'm excited I got to do that. But we are super excited to bring to you our topic today. But before I do so, I need to introduce to you someone super special. And this person lives across the country from me, but I still got to meet her in person last year. So that's why in all the posts, there's a picture of her giving me a nice little smooch on the cheek. So without further ado, Kandyce Nordquist, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you did this week?
Hello, everybody. Little bit about me. I am technically owner of Family Pest Control, but co-owner, whatever. I don't care. I just like going out and doing the work right now. All the paperwork sucks. But this week was not too bad. It's the beginning of the month, so everything's a little bit calmer. We did have 2 initials this week. One of them kind of threw us for a loop. We were supposed to just be installing vent screens. Come to find out they were previously installed and then cemented in. So we couldn't just pop out old ones and put in new ones. So we had to redo everything and drill in the vent screen covers over the top. So instead of just a nice easy pop and move to the next one, it was sitting at them and drilling out 4 holes each for a total of 32 with our battery operated drills. We didn't even have our hammer drill with us.
No.
So needless to say, I got very muscle sore, and we did not work the next day because Brandon wasn't feeling well, and I was just too sore to barely even walk. This weekend's been great, though. I got to witness my freshman son get his varsity letter today for wrestling. Only freshman on the team to get his varsity letter. All the other freshmen were JV. He was the only freshman varsity for the boys team. I think there was a female, which was great though. He's super excited, and he continues to play, or plans on continuing to wrestle. He's a natural. He loves it.
Oh, that's cute. I love it.
Oh yeah, he's great. And the coach introduced him as the smallest wrestler on the team because, well, he technically is. Out of boys and girls, he is the smallest, but he doesn't care. He likes being the little guy.
That's awesome.
But
Yes.
Our guests this week are the Tuttons, the owners of EcoScan, Sam and Heather. Tell us a little bit about yourself, guys. What do you do? Do you do all of it, some of it? What's it all about?
So we specialize in botanical solutions, but our deep specialty is bird control, which really played into what we originally started to do. We wanted to be a reduced pesticide company. We wanted to really practice IPM. That was our big focus, is less synthetic, more botanical. And so focusing on the bird was perfect play into that, because we use almost no pesticide at all. We don't use any of the avitrals or any of the birth controls. We really focus on technology, which is sort of how we rolled into where we are now. Is I ran a technology company and I was extremely unhappy. Sam came and partnered with me for a while in the family company, and we just weren't loving it. He'd spent almost 20 years in pest control, and we decided let's combine the two and really have a technology based pest control company, and EcoScan happened.
That's cool.
That is very cool.
I have so many more questions now. That is awesome. How long have you guys been doing this?
This June will be 14 years. because we all forget when we started, right?
Yeah, we do. 13, 14, it's one of those.
In there.
The number. It's a long time.
Yeah.
Early teens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that is awesome.
We got our letter this year too. Yeah. Pest control. Yeah, we got our varsity letter in pest control. It came at the same time as your son, so that's great.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness. So what would you say is your favorite part of what you do?
There are a lot of favorites. Bird control, bird remediation is really where we excel as far as the pest control industry. Like, I enjoy solving problems for people. We enjoy general pest, but our passion is with the bird work. But I think for me, my favorite part of the company is that I get to work with Sam every day. We're together all the time. We really get, I mean, it's incredibly rare where we're not together all the time. And that's fun. Luckily, we really like each other, because there are some days on the roof that there's some days on the roof where if you don't like each other, it could really be a challenge.
Accidental falling.
Yes,
Right.
yeah. We
I
make
thought
sure
I had
life
that.
insurance is paid up all the time.
Yeah.
That's taken care of all the time.
That's on auto pay. We don't mess with that.
No, I completely get that, because me and Brandon do a lot of work together, but a lot of the times we are separate because we do just general pest control. But when I first started out, we were always together. And then just this last month, his car was in the shop, so we were always together. And yeah, you really do have to enjoy being with the other person, or else you're just like, go away.
And when you're on rooftops and on lifts, and there are days where our safety depends on the other person. You, even if you're really not liking them that day, you have to just let it go. You have to find a way to just really embrace the relationship that you have and put your trust back in that person.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I have to commend Sam, because his post on your page is the whole reason this episode was even thought of. Well, I mean, we had already been like, oh my gosh, we need to talk to Heather. But the Reaching New Heights post on your Facebook page, I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. That's Kandyce. Like, Kandyce, we got to do this. That's a perfect name for the episode and everything. So
yeah, he comes up with that cheesy stuff all the time.
Hey man, the cheesy works. It works.
Yeah, it so works.
And she loves doing that kind of work. She loves getting up on the lifts and handling the technical aspect of it. And quite frankly, she's faster at some of the technical aspects of the implementation and application than I am. Her mind it works mechanically. I remember taking the military test to go into the military, the ASVAB and that.
Yeah.
The recruiter said, the good news is you can do anything you want to do, except you will never be an engineer in the military. So I've taken that to heart, and I really doing like that with the Rising to New Heights. I focus on a lot of ground support for Heather, because you're on a big machine. You're 100 feet up in the air and 40, 50 feet out. You really need ground support, because you never know when a machine will go down. You've got to have ground control for people walking around in the immediate area and making sure that's handled safety. And if anything happens to the machine, you got to get that person down as well.
Yeah.
Take over on the ground control. So yeah, I enjoy being the backup support in that role. Let her have the fun at the heights.
that's awesome. Oh my gosh.
It is fun. 15 years ago, if someone would have told me I would be doing this ever in my 50s, but ever, I would have lost a great deal of money on that bet. There's nothing in my prior life that said heights are where I would find my fun, but here we are, just loving it.
So do you guys take turns going up, or is it mainly Heather that goes up?
She does, I would say, probably at this point. In the beginning, I was probably doing about 75%, because she had never been on the lift before and she hadn't gone through the training. So I did that initially. And then once she got on and realized, hey, I understand it, I enjoy it, It's probably switched over now where she's 75% of the time on the lift. I'm 25% of the time. And she definitely likes being in charge of the basket when we're moving around. She likes to have control. So apparently she likes Atari and video games much more than she anticipated. So.
Didn't like them as a kid, but when I move in them, apparently it's a lot more fun.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah, I can
cool.
see that.
Yeah, it's great.
So, of all the ways that you guys can remediate for birds, what's your favorite one to do? Like, not money-wise, because, oh, it's the biggest bang for their buck, but just, like, the funnest one for you guys to set up.
So the most fun is anything using a lift, honestly. But we do a few different really fun ones. The lasers are always a blast just because it's fun to play with and program a laser. But the what used to be known as Flock Off, that is now Simterra, that's a fun one too. Just the electromagnetic field and explaining it to people and watching how it really just works. So that's a fun one. But I think anytime we can do an install and it just makes a difference for the homeowner or the building property owner or renter, really it's just a lot of fun. But a lift, if we're in a lift, I'm having a blast. Doesn't matter what we're putting up.
And views. I mean, we get some magnificent views doing all this rooftop work. I mean, we'll be up in the middle of the desert, then we'll be near the ocean, then we'll be in the mountains. We never know where we're going to be, where you have these phenomenal views. You might go to a place thinking, this is going to be beautiful today. We're only 5 minutes from the ocean, but we'll be able to see everything, and trees are higher than when you're working. Then you'll go somewhere else and say, it's out in the middle of the desert, and you realize, it's the last house in Joshua Tree in a remote location, and you get these magnificent views, and that's rewarding to us. We really like being outside and doing some of these jobs that other people just aren't willing to tackle.
That's awesome.
That is cool.
There's always something fun to look at on a roof.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
I can imagine.
I mean, sometimes the views are not great, but some of the houses in the community are just interesting or stunning. But every single job is different. Even when you're in the same community for a week, there's always a different view, a different perspective. The clouds are different. We spent a bunch of time in a brand new master plan community in 2020, and we were there a lot. But we got to watch the helicopters pull in all of the new power lines. So
that's cool.
That was if I could, I would do that for a living, but I think I'm probably past the age where they're going to let me do that.
Yeah, I was about to lose a partner when she was watching. She was really enthralled with this. I was like,
that's my dream job.
So you might be, I mean, they might, but it could be past your prime going into that. It seems like they would want a younger person, but experience counts for a lot.
Yeah, I was about to say she'd proven everybody.
Absolutely.
Like she one of my favorite pictures of Heather is the one where she's looking over the building and the camera's coming up and you can see the blue sky. I think that's so cool.
That was really cool.
We have a few of those. They're a lot of fun. And I don't post any of them, but anytime I do ladder work or any boom lift work or lift work, I always take a selfie of me with the work. And some of them are really cool and gorgeous backgrounds. And some of them I'm like, this job sucked. This was awful. And I'm so glad it's done, and just get me the hell out of here.
I promised to put a selfie collage together of Heather and post that. I do not do selfie collages of myself. I don't do a selfie anywhere unless it's to get her in the background. That'd be about the only time I do one.
I don't think I'll ever post them, but I think someday it would be hilarious to make our own little like coffee table book, just one of the self-print ones.
That would be cool.
Have that to look back on and say, oh God, I remember that job. It sucked. Or, oh, that was great. Remember the views we had there. And I think and that's why I do them, just so we have something to look back on later and say, like, Remember the good old days when we could still climb a 2-story ladder?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, that'd be like a cool thing for like your kids to pass down to their
Yeah.
kids too,
Uh-huh. Our
Yes.
grandparents were crazy.
right?
Look at the dumb things our grandparents used to do, our great-grandparents used to do before we had hovercraft. How crazy were they?
Oh my
Right.
gosh.
You they actually had to
Right?
climb stuff.
Oh,
Gross.
that's cute. Yeah, at the first pest control company I ever worked for, they required us to take a selfie at the front door of it was residential. And so I have 2 years worth of selfies of me in front of all these various different doors. And I've thought about doing something like that. Like me, this was the whole first 2 whole years of my pest control
Right.
journey. Some days I'm like sopping wet, I've been rained on, and some days, I look
You're
okay.
sopping wet because you're sweating.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And then
I
would
think you're coming up with an idea for a new little landing page, pest control selfies or something.
Yeah,
Have people
exactly.
log on and post their little selfies of out in the field doing stuff. That could be
Yeah.
sort of fun.
Yeah, I love posing with people's Halloween decorations too.
Yeah.
Oh, I love when you do those. Those are so funny.
I have a dentist office that has a skeleton in the basement that they bring up when it's Halloween, but I will pose with it every month and do a different pose.
We keep our skeleton on our patio and we just
Yep.
decorate him for the seasons all year long.
Oh,
I see a lot of
that's so
people do
cool.
that. Like when
It's
they have
fun.
those like 12-foot skeletons, they just
Uh-huh.
change them up for each holiday.
Yep.
I'm like, well, that's one way to get the bang for your buck on that one.
Because they're not cheap.
No.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No, that's great.
So like I saw one of your posts about your lasers.
Yeah.
That is like 70% remediation on a different building than you even put the lasers on. So obviously I know you guys said you really like using those because they're really fun and everything to set up, but like, do you have to keep up with them? Like you have to go back and like recalibrate it or anything like that? Or do they just kind of hang out for like years on end?
Minimal calibration. Obviously, depending on where they are, if there is any sort of reflection, we need to keep in daytime and nighttime accountability. We've got our newest one is actually in a wetland. And what in hindsight we should have thought of, we didn't until it happened, was that when that laser hits water, shoots up into the sky.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem for pilots. So we have to adjust to make sure it's turned off by dusk every night.
Mhm.
But then as daylight savings hits and as the seasons, we get more daylight, less daylight, they have to go out and program those, or they need us to come out and program them. But if it's just on a building and it's just sitting there, it can run pretty much year round without any involvement at all. Some of the sites only want it running during migratory bird season, just to make sure that we don't get the migratory birds on the buildings, and then we come out, turn them on, turn them off. We'll wash solar panels if it's a solar unit, that sort of thing, just to do an annual maintenance program. But largely, if it's somewhere where it's safe for those to run 24/7 or for whatever pre-programmed time of day, they just do.
That's
they don't
awesome.
need a lot of work at all. They're very easy.
And each client's different. We have one client that we go out for different work in the evening. So he wants to go ahead and check that laser program every month when we're out, which fits in nicely. It only takes us 10 or 15 minutes to do it to make sure it's still hitting all the right spots. We have another client that's going to have us come up on an annual basis during migratory periods, come up and check the program and make sure everything is running appropriately. The solar panels are cleaned. It's a solar panel one as opposed to a 120. And then we have another client that they had 2 or 3 of their ecologists that went through the training from bird control group. So there's online training that's available. So they'll be doing most of the programming and maintenance of the system themselves. So it really depends on the client. But I mean, there's a little bit of work, and you never know when you get winds or somebody working around the area on cameras or lights, you might need to go out and take a look at it and make sure everything's being monitored correctly, or at least hitting the right spots and the spots that they were programmed to. Because we get high winds out here in California. We'll get 40, 50, 60 mile an hour winds. and that
Oh, yeah.
can move something. That can cause its own adjustment. So.
And we've got one site where it's a test phase, so they rented light units like you see in construction areas.
Yeah.
So we had to mount those on the light unit without actually mounting it into the light unit because it's a rental, so it had to get put back. So we did a lot of networking with a lot of our friends in construction and handy people, and came up with a great way to be able to do that without damaging the rental unit. But those have a lot of play in them. So being able to make sure that doesn't adjust and go somewhere it shouldn't. And then they also are mobile because those units may need to be moved for maintenance around the grounds. So being able to make sure, we had to devise a plan to make sure that they're marked properly so that they get put back exactly where they started, so that the laser beam is hitting exactly where we want it to and it's not hitting any of the neighboring areas. So those types of things, for the most part, our ecologists will be doing that. We won't have to go out, but it's something that needs to be factored into the whole programming and maintenance.
Wow. That's insane. Like how much like I don't even didn't think about stuff like that. Like I live on the Oregon coast. We have the winds here too. And I didn't even think about the winds moving around, stuff like that.
It's our rental guy asked us the other day, he's like, do you guys just do like normal jobs? Do you have anything that you do that doesn't require like you're manufacturing installation pieces, you're like going up and over this crazy insane doorway that leads to nowhere and you can't get a lift in? And it's like, do you just ever do a job?
We do.
Not really.
We do.
We do. All of our
We do
residential
some
stuff is pretty normal. Most of it, not all of it.
Most of it. Yeah.
But yeah, we get some pretty crazy jobs. But those are the ones we really love doing.
Yeah, so those are always the best because you always remember them then.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's awesome. And it's fun
No,
to
I actually
problem
don't
solve.
mind jobs that go smoothly and quickly. I differ a little bit with Heather on that. I like going out and getting the job completed, no hiccups, went perfectly as planned, maybe even got it done a little more quickly than anticipated. The other ones are fun and challenging and rewarding ultimately, but they can be mind-boggling and frustrating at the time as well.
There is a definite joy in the residential work that we do. We've gotten so good at it because we've done so many thousands and thousands of them. That jobs that when we first started would take us 5, 6, 7 hours to do, we're done in like 3 hours now. So we can book a day and we're done by before noon, and we've made more than a full day's of pest control production. So those are fun when you can finish your day before noon and make a good amount of money.
Yes.
Those days don't suck. They're cool.
No.
That's awesome.
No,
Yeah.
not have to do 14 stops to make half as much money. We're cool.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that's efficiency right there.
Yes, it is.
Love it.
Yeah.
So how do the lasers work? Is it just a deterrent?
Yeah.
Okay.
It basically, the bird's eye, they obviously see a whole different spectrum of light, and it just, to them, it looks like a predator, the way it just kind of swoops in and comes at them. They view it as a predator, and over time, when that predator is constantly in the area, they just decide this playground's not fun anymore and move somewhere else.
We had a site where they didn't want to make the investment because, I mean, it's quite a bit of money. A minimum you're looking at is $15,000.
Yeah.
Just for the unit and simple installation and programming. That's going to be about your minimum. So they had us going out and using handheld lasers to test the success. And we did it for about a year. And finally, we're like, hey, this is a proven concept. You know it works. If we put out one laser, it's going to save you as much as you're paying us to come out here sometimes during nesting season. 2 and 3 times a week. And then during off times, we're still going out sometimes a couple of times a month. You're going to pay for the laser in 1 year, what you're paying for us in labor and you don't have as many X factors, somebody walking around your property, possibly getting hurt, having to call into security every night, checking on that. You don't have the human element. You've now got a program laser. And once they did it, and we didn't get them 100% success because we're not out there every single day of the week, 365. Put the laser in, and it totally mitigated the area that they were having concerns on. It moved them down to, this is almost a 3 million square foot building, so it's almost a mile long. So moved them down to a different portion, but got them off the executive entrance and really where they were having to power wash and it was causing damage. So there's ups and downs and trials and tribulations. You figure out really it's mainly what the customer wants, and that's what you try to attack the quickest.
So I know, Heather, we were talking earlier and you said you have kids. Do any of your guys' kids do any pest control related anything?
No, our daughter is in construction management, and that's as close as any of them. The boys both have said, like, absolutely never. Absolutely, we're not going to do it. That's not even, just stop. But when the kids were little, we had a live-in nanny because it was cheaper to have a little live-in nanny for 3 young kids than it was to put them in daycare. And we stay in contact. Our kids are 29, 27, 23 now. So she's not been our nanny for a long time. She's got her own kids now that are 17 or 16 and 13. And one day she's talking with her son, the older kid, and it's high school. What are you going to do with your life? What do you want to do? What colleges are you thinking about? And he says, I'm not sure where I want to go to college, but I'm going to take over the family business. And she says, our family doesn't have a business. Like, what are you talking about? And he says, Aunt Heather and Uncle Sam's business. Their kids don't want it. What other family business would I take over? And she's like, oh. So she sent me a text. She's like, so we're now family officially, and my son is taking the company over.
That's adorable.
Okay. It was really cute.
Give it to him 100%.
Yeah.
That's cute.
He's a good kid. Good kids. And he wants it. So, but no, our kids have zero interest in it at all.
It's great. Our daughter being in construction management, I think she saw a lot of what we were doing and got an interest of going out. When we first opened, we were doing a lot of wood repair and things like that because termite was really driving our business. We were in a networking group, and a lot of the referrals were coming from real estate agents. And that was like the last thing in the world I wanted to do was termite work. I mean, I'd done it with one of the big box companies and managed all the general contractors coming in and handling that. And we did in-house wood repairs, all that fun stuff. But I mean, that's what was driving the business. That's where we're getting the leads. Our daughter sort of watched us doing all this stuff, remodeling houses and our own personal homes. And she sort of got a fever for it. And so, yeah, she's in the trades now and a project manager she had worked here in California for one of the largest construction management companies in California. Now she works with one of the top largest construction management companies in Minnesota. So she's doing pretty well. I'm proud of her.
That's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Good to see women in trade. It's
yes.
We're seeing more and more of it, and less just administrative functions or data entry. Some of the basic what we used to always see. Now we're seeing women in the field, so it's nice to see that. It's a change, absolutely.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, as my husband always says, with women out in the field, it's everybody's going to see it in their different light. Men will see it in one way, women will see it in another. And if, like how when me and him work together, or when you guys work together, you guys can, hey, this is how I see it. Okay, well, this is how I see it. And then you can come to that conclusion of, we're both right, we're both wrong. Let's get it fixed the right way the first time.
And we do that a lot.
Yes,
we constantly, and less so in the pest realm, but more in the bird work and up heights. And when we're doing that sort of thing, it really is a joint effort to get the best solution that we can.
Yeah, we were on a roof yesterday getting into a heated debate on how we're going to handle it. And I said, let's get off the roof. I mean, it's a steep pitch and we're anchored in and tied off and all this. And I said, let's go down, take a break. We'll talk about this. We'll figure it out. We always come up with a good solution. But when we're in the midst of it, we get a little heated. When we get down, have a sip of water, can really sort of take a breath, and we can come up with the solution that works best for the client and for us and keeps us safe, which is a really big thing with bird work and heights.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it's come back. Go
Yeah,
away,
sometimes it's come
formulate
back.
plan B, and that's yesterday. It was actually reinstalling optical gel on a roof, but the roof is so steeply pitched, there's no way, you can't walk the roof. So we decided I would straddle out to the peak, apply the optical gel on my way back, which worked very well. Except now I can't get back out to the peak because all the optical gel is there. And this home is in they get extreme high heats and extreme low cold. So we figured that optical gel would just pop off. I'd shimmy out, pop the gel off, throw it in a bag, and then apply the new one on the way back, and they won't pop off. So we're going to have to come up with a new way to get me out safely and then apply it on the way back. And we've got a few ideas. We've got a couple roofers that we're going to talk with, and we'll get it done, but not that day.
And it's on the optical gel, in case anybody from the manufacturer, yes, we are starting to use the clicks that you can slide the optical gel into and take out. We've added that to the arsenal. And that's simply, it's this little device where you can slide this optical gel, which is a multisensory deterrent. And when you're ready to change those out in a year to 2 years, you just slide it out and you slide the new one in. So then you're not having to you don't have to do more adhesive. You're not having to pull stuff up. And so we really started adding that to our jobs now, especially ones that we know is going to be a recurring client every year, every couple of years, that are going to ask us to come out and handle a situation. So yes, in case anybody sees this and sends something to the manufacturer, we are using the right equipment now.
That's cool. Oh my goodness.
2 years ago, the click was new. I don't think we'd even used it.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if it was out when we did this original install, but it'll make the next time we have to scale this peak out much easier.
So it's cool. I mean, coming up with the solution, we have a couple roofing companies we talked to. We talked to a guy used to own an aerospace company. We've got an HVAC sales rep that's been doing it for 50, 60 years. Great person with information. So it really benefits you to hook up with these electricians and all these different tradespeople, especially when you're doing technology-based solutions. We'll sit and chat with some of these people for an hour to 2 hours, coming up with ways to address the job that maybe the manufacturer hadn't thought about, our partner company had never done before. And sometimes you got to get solutions from other people that may handle something similar on a daily basis, like installing security cameras. You know, that person's going to know a lot more about how to install a laser in given circumstances than the manufacturer is, most likely. That's just part of it. They may be doing hundreds of jobs a month as opposed to 5 or 10. So we really reach out to a lot of different resources and trade people. It helps us out tremendously.
Yeah, getting that look from people in the field instead of people just going, well, it should work based on our test results in a perfect lab.
And that's,
we won't talk about that a whole lot.
A couple of our products, we've done exactly that, where we were doing installations that the manufacturer had never done. So they didn't know that a vibrational interference would be a problem. So we had to learn what a vibrational interference was and how to combat that. And so talking to different electricians and our AC guy who knew immediately what it was. And then we get to go back to the manufacturer and say, like, here's your solution to the problem that you didn't know existed, because in your test laboratory, there's no vibrational issues. You
don't have large turbines blowing your stuff around.
It's not on top of some big, huge moving thing. So yeah, it's good to have those other brains that you can pick when especially in technology and pest control. It's still so new. There's just everything's on a learning curve. It's really just trying to find the people that have the resources that have been doing it in other industries and how we figure out how to apply it to what we're doing in pest control and bird control.
It's just like calling your sales rep from Viceris or Target, whomever you use, whatever manufacturer, distributor that you use. A lot of times that you've got a great technical resource you can reach out to. If he or she doesn't have an answer, sometimes it's you call the chemical manufacturing company directly. There's always a technical response team.
Mhm.
And you just have to know if you've never done something, it's okay to ask questions. That's really what gets people in trouble a lot of times. Hey, they came up with a great concept or a great idea. They didn't realize it was an EPA violation, a state and federal violation, but it seemed like a really cool idea. And we run into that quite a bit where we have to address it with clients and let them know, hey, this can't be done. Even if somebody else did it for you in the past, it's not legal.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So with all the stuff that you guys use, like what's your favorite tool that really wasn't made to be in pest control? Just like that random thing.
Good question.
I don't know. That's a really good. Maybe ladder safety would be a really big one. I mean, that's pest control, but it's not like ladder safety was introduced for pest control, and in general pest, you're not using it.
Oh,
very
I'm going to
often.
call her out on this one because this is her favorite tool. Because every time we walk into Lowe's, Ace, True Value, Home Depot, where does she go? She goes to
Power
look.
tools.
No. What do you go to look at to carry the power tools in?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes. She
the
loves all
organizers in
the different
back.
containers and organization tools. And I'm like, we don't have $500 to spend on this right now. Hold on, time out. The ones we have are working. But she is like a kid in a candy store. That would probably just escape you. I mean,
Home
she sits
Depot
there and
Lowe's
plays with them and looks at all
every
these
time.
different containers. This would be perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
she gets a high out of that.
I do like that. But yeah, those are fun. But that's also, I mean, in pest control, you need to organize stuff.
And I'd say the other thing with her too, with Heather, starting to use the drones a little bit, using the lasers, using the Pulse Simterra, using technology-based solutions that really wasn't that big a thing in pest control 10, 15 years ago. Like a company came to Heather's company when she was doing software development, manufacturing, a point of sale systems, and asked us to develop the first concept of the rodent bait station that would send the text message and the email out. And we said, look, we can do this for you. We pulled everything apart and figured out where we had to order the stuff from Alibaba and all that kind of stuff. And I said, yeah, our guys can do this for you. It'll be $20,000 to start the project. Well, I thought we were going to just start the project today. Well, I can't pull them off programming and development in other areas and with paying clients to work on a project that we don't know may not even come to fruition. And so the big thing is you're going to have your Bell Labs and all these other people out there spending millions and millions of dollars to develop this, and we're going to try to spend less than $100,000. We're not going to have enough skin in the game. So, I mean, it's fun doing that kind of stuff and realizing it's not going to be, you need to find your wheelhouse. And yeah, Heather's team was really excited about doing it, but nobody's excited about doing anything with no pay.
Yeah.
You get paid. You get it.
When it's your concept, when it's your baby, then you're motivated to do some things for free. But when it's somebody else's concept and they just want to use your tools, then you need to have some skin in the game. So, yeah, I mean, those are the fun things, though, about bridging that technology pest control gap, or those opportunities that sometimes they work for us, sometimes they don't. And, being able to decide what works for us. We've had a good time doing it. So it is fun to get to the point where you can kind of pick and choose what projects you want to work on and which ones not even remotely. That's not happening. shopping kind of thing. So those are
Not
fun
doing
days.
that.
I think my favorite tool is Google Earth and Google Maps to be
Yeah.
able to do so much of our work from the computer without even stepping a foot outside the door when somebody calls up and says, hey, I've got this issue, I've got a bird problem or a pest issue, a rodent issue at this facility, and they're calling from another part of the country and they're asking you to take a look. To pop that address in and start looking at it right there and going through
That's a
and
good
speaking with the individual on the phone, and then they feel like you're invested in them a little bit, and these people understand technology. They're right there on their phones looking at, that's exactly where we're having the problem. That really makes a huge impact with the client when you can pop something up so quickly and see their building or see their home, and they feel like then they can talk to you directly about it. And it's not like, when can you come out here? When can you do the inspection? Because many times we don't have to do the inspection before we can get them a price. We can go ahead and do a lot of our pricing via Google Maps and Google Earth if it's just a standard issue, especially residential. We can get them the ballpark and then we send them a final.
I'd say over 90% of our residential clients, we never do an inspection. It is all done by Google Earth. Or on occasion, if it's too new for Google Earth, they can send us their schematics via text message, and we can do it all that way. And on the rare occasion we do have to go out, I'd say a good over 50% of that, we don't even have to climb on the roof. We just send the drone up and we get what we need with the drone. So, which is great because getting a ladder set up takes a lot of time. Setting up the drone, I get it ready in the car on the way over and throw it up and take a look at what we need, and don't have to climb a ladder. Don't have to stress the owner out about what happens if you slip or fall, or are you going to crack things? And so having that technology really does help. So yeah, I think really the answer to the original question is technology. Technology is really our biggest tool in all of what we do. It's technology.
Definitely.
We were doing, before the apps were really a big thing for pest control, we were doing our own type app. We were using a couple of different programs that we could tie together. And we were one of the first companies in California to actually be doing 100% paperless, except for termite work. The termite work we still had to do with paper. And now, of course, here in California, we're 100%. Everything is online. We can do all wet signatures via an app. But we started our company with a no paper policy. So technology from the get-go has been our biggest tool that was not created for the industry, but man, it served us really well.
Yeah, that is so cool. Circling back to where you guys said you network with a lot of different industries and stuff, how did you build up that network of people to consult?
Bunch of different ways. When we first opened, we were in some networking groups, and we've kept some of those contacts, even though we're not in the groups anymore. Chambers of commerce, networking groups. We've got a little local family-owned restaurant bar that we go to, and we've met a bunch of great people there. A bunch of service workers, industry workers come in the afternoons, and really we all kind of sit around and chit chat and problem solve, and we all know each other well enough. We'll text them, send them pictures like, I'm in the field. What do I do with this? What's the best way? What would you recommend? And so even though it has nothing at all to do with their industry, they can give us those techniques. But it's really just, I think, being friendly, just chatting with people.
Trade shows, we did in the beginning, we did a lot of trade shows. Of course, we tried to do the ones that were a lot of fun. And if in Vegas or Los Angeles, the more fun you're going to have. So we did a lot of that in the beginning and met a lot of people, but we weren't getting a return on the investment with our time and the travel from a lot of the trade shows. And that's in the pest control industry. I helped with trade shows for two of the largest companies in the country. And I'd seen trade shows fail tremendously because what happens is you pick your 2 or 3 people to be there and work the booth for a given day. They're just taking names, scanning a badge or whatever, and then there's no follow-up. And then Heather and I were working a trade show, the nightclub and bar show in Vegas. I was working it with a large pest control company. She was working it for her technology company. And our meeting went a little bit long, and the pest control company already had the people picked out from Las Vegas that were going to man the booth or woman the booth. And I was able to get to the meeting or trade show the last hour and a half. In an hour and a half, Heather and I got over 50 qualified leads at this trade show. And the people working the booth had less than 30 the entire time for the 3 days. And it raised some eyebrows about, how to man a booth, how to make sure you have the right people. So when I did trade shows, I always made sure we had somebody different gender, different color, sometimes multilingual, because you never know who is going to relate to somebody, and don't always stand behind the booth. Take turns, make sure that people are going out and working the floor and introducing themselves, showing an interest in the other people's products, the vendors that are there. So that paid off for us tremendously. And just gathering those business cards over the years and realizing, and LinkedIn too is another great way, is when you've got a resource and you can call that person that you may not have talked to in 3 or 4 years and say, hey, I've got a project or an idea or something I need some help with. And then you keep those people in your loop of contacts. And somebody that you may have only worked with 4 or 5 times over a decade, it was a great resource to have. They're just there when you need them. So it's a little bit at a time and just reaching out to people.
It's basically hoarding friends.
Yes. Yes.
Fine.
Yeah. And that's what I love about the pest
you
industry.
have to give them back. They're ours.
Right? Yeah. I love having friends all over the country that, the Nords, for example, the other day I had a equipment meltdown, and I just send them a video like, this is what's happening. What do you suggest? Yeah. And they responded like that and helped a lot. So it's nice.
Did you get that fixed, by the way?
Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yay. Yeah, it's good to have people in the industry, and it's good to have people outside the industry, because there's a lot that goes on that's not just pest control that needs to happen within pest control. So having a big group of people always makes it better.
It really does. Yes.
Yeah, we're in a very small area. Very small. There's my city, I think, has 16,000 people in it.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll get people, we're like, hey, this is, too damaged for us to fix because we don't have a contractor's license. We're like, oh, well, do you know somebody who can? Yes, I do.
Matter of fact.
And it's not even because, oh, hey, they're my best friend, and I'm trying to get them money. It's because I know that they're going to do a good job and they're not going to nickel and dime you to death. Right. I don't want to recommend somebody that's not going to do a good job, and then I still have to go in back behind it and fix it again, for that rodent exclusion or whatever it might be.
You feel guilty because it didn't get done right, and I referred them. That's the worst, when your referral doesn't pan out the way you thought it would.
Yes. We've had a few, and now we're just like, yep, not referring those people anymore.
Yep, we've done that. We're pretty selective for that reason about who we refer, because you get burned a couple of times and you suddenly develop a much higher level of acceptance on what you're going to accept and not accept in your referrals, and you learn how to pick out the good ones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys have any employees that work for you, or is it just you two?
God, no.
Yeah. No, our goal when we opened was not to hire. And when we were doing more pest control and termite control, it got to the point of where, okay, we're going to have to buy more vehicles. We're going to have to hire people. And we had to reassess. We're like, okay, our goal was I'd worked a big box and managed up to, when I was a region manager, had 300-400 different people underneath with fleet management and all that kind of stuff. And most of the time, the branches I was running was, 30 to 50 people, standard size, good sized branch for big companies. And Heather had a company where they'd had up to 14, 15 technicians out working in the field. And her mom really came up with a brilliant concept, which is very similar to Geek Squad nowadays. I'm 100% confident that they took it from what she implemented with Sharp Electronics back in the 70s, where they were doing, in early 80s, I should say, where they had created a network of dealer installers all throughout the country, where they would do the programming here in San Bernardino and ship the unit out to an installer in another part of the country, and it was plug and play. So they got to sort of keep their client that they lost in Maine. They still got to go out and service, but Heather's company had the contract and did all the peripherals and the point of sale. So we took that when we were starting to do a little too much work and got to the point where we're going to stop hiring. It's like, wait, we know we can use subcontractors in wood repair. We know all the fumigation gets done by subcontractors as well here in California. You have a fume team that comes out and does it. And I think it's that in a lot of parts of the country. And then we realized, hey, we've got 2 or 3 pest control companies that we've got relationships with. They give us referrals for the bird work that they don't want to do. So what we did was say, hey, look, we're going to start giving you the termite referrals. We're going to give you some of our pest control referrals for general synthetic type. They're just looking for somebody to kill their bug. They don't care about green pest control or botanical. So we started referring a lot of those clients out to them directly and saying, hey, look, we don't do that, or we do for friends and family or a referral, but for new clients, we're not taking on new clients. There's 2 good, here's a couple of other good local companies that have been around for a couple of generations in the immediate area. So we started doing that a little bit more, and that worked out very well for us.
Yeah, and it's nice when we've got somebody that wants a service in a way that it just doesn't fit in our wheelhouse, that we can refer out to another smaller local regional company. And they know in return when they refer us to the bird work, or if somebody's looking specifically for a more botanical option or a less pesticide option, they know they can refer them to us, and we're not going to steal them as a general pest client. Our focus is, fewer pest control clients, more bird control clients. And, we've got our kind of cherry pick the general pests that we keep. They're now friends more than clients and family. So, we'll add a few when they call and say, they're really looking for an IPM or a botanical solution. We'll let them come in, but we can be more selective, and it's great to know we can send other people somewhere that we trust, but that they can send us work and we're not going to steal from them. So that practice works out really well for us.
And we were, even as we transitioned over to bird control and got out of termite and pest control as much, we were still at the point where, hey, we've got all these customers on a route that need to be taken care of. We've got all these recurring termite inspections and stuff. We're going to have to hire somebody to handle that. And that's when we said, hold on, take a time out. Let's go through all our clients that really they're great clients. We like them, enjoy working with them, but we didn't bring them on under just what our solution was supposed to be. Green, natural solutions, mechanical alterations, all that kind of stuff. We called a lot of them up and said, hey, would you be willing to transfer over to another pest control company? We're doing more bird work now. We're traveling a lot. We're going out. We travel to Central California, Northern California, all the way down to San Diego. So we don't have time for these callbacks or an emergency situation. When we explained it that way and they realized, okay, you took at least enough time to come to talk to us and give us some options. That was a good transition. That was a good way to move them out. And that freed us up not to have to start hiring employees. And it got us back to doing some of the stuff we really wanted to do.
Because that was, our company logo is greener solutions for a cleaner environment. So really sticking with that tagline, that company goal, releasing the clients that didn't embrace that really freed us up to do more of what we wanted and focus where it was that we felt we belonged in the industry or where we wanted to be in the industry. So it's yeah, we don't want employees at some point. Our kid that's taken over the company, probably have to hire him at some point to train him, but he'll probably be the only employee we have.
That's cool. Coming from a big box perspective on my end, hearing you guys say that you'll utilize like Google Earth and stuff instead of just like going out there to inspect, says a lot to me, because coming from the big box, of course, we want to get out there and do that inspection and see what else we can sell them. And,
Oh, yeah.
so I think that's beautiful that you guys have a specialized thing and you just want to solve the problem that they're having. It's not even like, okay, what else can I sell them?
And I mean, we have some add-ons, like when we're doing just the bird abatement under the solar panels, we've got the optical gel that we can offer.
Mhm.
But we're very, very upfront about it. We have the installation, we have the cleaning, and then we have the optical gel. And our clients love it because we include the pricing in the quote, but we don't add it to the total because not everybody needs it. And so, I've got a whole spiel I've gotten really dialed in now where, I explain this is what we do. This is why we do it. This is how we do it. This is the other option that we have. This is why we do it. This is when we do it. When we get on site, if we think you need this, we'll call you from the roof or we'll come down and knock on the door and we'll let you know. And so by the time we get to the customer's house, we already have a good developed relationship with them, as if we've gone out and done the inspection. So when we get there and we upsell to them, we've already developed that trust. We're not just the salesperson that showed up at the front door. We're the people that they talked to and built this great relationship and great rapport with over the phone. Now we're here to solve their problem. So it works really well for us to not have to go, and we're saving all that windshield time, all the not cheap gas that, so being able to do that. And we've got a great format that really looks like we could have spent hours doing it, and everything populates in and it takes us 10 minutes at the most. And it looks extremely professional, but we spent a lot of time making it the way we wanted it to. So it really does. The technology really plays into being super efficient and super effective and gives us a lot more time to focus on the other aspects as opposed to just driving to the client and trying to sell them more stuff.
That's awesome. I love that. Did we ask all our questions, Kandyce?
I think so, and we're about just at an hour,
Yeah.
so
Right at that hour.
Good timing.
Yeah.
Right? Epic. It's been amazing getting to know you guys and hearing all about that. I even just reading into your business through Facebook and LinkedIn and all that stuff, I learned a lot. That was amazing.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's we tell all the clients, education is like 95% of our sales process. I give them all the information so that when they make a decision, they know what they're getting into. So I'm glad that you could find a bunch of information valuable through our websites and social medias, because that's how you do your best work, is when they're educated and they know that they're confident in your decisions.
Yep.
And you can let anybody know if they've got questions. Heather will be glad to talk to them. She will talk to them for hours and days about, ideas and concepts. She really gets a joy out of that. And we've had people call us from across the country trying to get ideas for, especially like the solar panel bird proofing, because that was pretty new 6-7 years ago. Not a lot of companies were doing it. And when we launched it and really got with a couple of manufacturers and did some stories on LinkedIn and a couple of things, and I think PCT magazine, boy, howdy, that took off. People realized, hey, you can make some money at this. There's some good ways to do it. Then it became every solar panel cleaning company and every tree trimming company in the world wanted to try to do this stuff as well. So,
They don't.
I mean, it's good to be able to have good resources and knowledge. And we've offered to people before, if you ever have questions, feel free to give us a call. Our contact information is available on Facebook, LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff. We're here. We're as a resource. We like helping people. There's enough business to go around.
Oh yeah, there's definitely more than enough.
Yep.
Yeah.
California is booming, and the housing market and the industrial market is not slowing down anytime soon. So
right now.
there's plenty of information and resources to share out there.
Yes, absolutely. And last week's guest, Jennifer, when she was speaking about the canine bedbug detection,
Mm-hmm.
we spoke, and she's had people reach out to her since our
Oh, that's
episode,
great.
Oh, cool.
in interested in canine detection and stuff. So I'm sure if anybody's listening, you guys sound like you have the plethora of information, and I'm I already can tell that you have a strong network there, where when I post to certain things, people are liking and commenting that already have probably reached out to you or have learned about what you do. So that is so cool. I
We
love it.
talk to a lot of people. It's fun.
Yes. So I did want to mention one thing about our intro at the beginning of the show. That is JT, the lovely junior Starry, Jack Starry's son from Tales from the Crawlspace. He can do voiceovers, jingles, intros, anything like that. You can reach out to Jack at tftc.wtf if you're interested in your own show or any kind of project you got going on. So he did a great job for us. Um, Kandyce, you've been on Tales from the Crawl Space how many times now?
I think if you count cheese stock, it's like 6 or so. I mean, you do see my hands in the back a few times because I was sitting behind Jack and kind of this way a few times, and
Yeah.
a little bit here.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's like 6 or 7 now. I can't remember. I've lost count.
Yes. So we're obviously big fans of Tales from the Crawl Space. I've been on 5 times now. So if you haven't heard them, everybody go give them a listen. tftc.wtf, and they're on every single podcast streaming thing, just like we are. So, other than that, recently Pestrogen Podcast was also a guest on Beauties and Beasties, and they just had oh my goodness, I know her name. I can't. Pink Pest Control on Beauties and Beasties. That was a great episode. If you haven't seen it, it's hilarious. You need to go. Lots of funny things were said on that episode too, but she is awesome. But we love our guys at Beauties and Beasties. And one other shout out, our buddy Sean Muller of Pest Perspectives. If you haven't given him a listen, definitely give him a listen. I love my UK folk out there. So, Kandyce, what's our next episode?
Our next episode is Dust Yourself Off and Try Again. It's going to be about all the failures and the wins and just obviously getting up and doing it again. And can I announce our guests on that one?
Yeah.
We are going to have the great and wonderful Russell Goswiller and our great friend to the north, Rodney Brum.
Yes. Yes. I'm excited for that one. And they're both, well, Rodney just hit his first year going on his own for Powerhouse Pest Solutions.
Yes.
And I think Russell's a few months in, right?
Yeah, I think he's about 6 months or so now. I can't remember. We'll figure it out before we do the episode.
Yes, but I think we thought that was a great perspective to get two guys that are just pretty fresh and running to talk about the fails and the victories in that first year. So,
well, it's like, as you guys know, Heather and Sam, it's like that first year is a whole lot of fine tuning because it's, oh my God, this is going to work. And then absolutely not. This does not work.
And then coming from big companies to owning your own company,
yes.
Guess what? You have to do everything now. You don't have 20 people that know how to do it or they've been doing it for a decade or 15 years and they can do it 5 times faster than you can. Yep. Now, all of a sudden, you're doing all the work. You knew how to manage it and price it, but sometimes you didn't really know how to effectively do it. Yeah, that's a big one. It's a big challenge.
And see, both of them came from bigger companies as well. Yeah. So, yep.
It'll be a fun one.
Yes, I love it. I think that is all of our shout outs, but we want to thank you guys for coming and talking with
Oh,
us.
thanks for having us.
It was
This
so
was
much
great.
fun.
Good deal.
Thanks.
It's been a great episode. Thank you two so much. And Sam, you should feel honored. You're our first male on here.
Thank you very much for having me.
It was great
Love
having
to be
you
a part of it.
both. And yeah, we'll see everybody on our next episode next week with Russell and Rodney.
Yay.
Thank you, ladies.
One more thing before we go. In the group Pestrogen, our Facebook group, the month of February, we did Speak Up. That was the theme. And with that, several ladies submitted stories. And these stories, I have to say, were very inspiring because as a woman in a male-dominated industry, it can be difficult. So to read somebody else's story of a time that was very difficult in their life, to stand up for themselves, was very empowering. So with this past weekend being International Women's Day, I want to thank all those ladies for what they shared. I've asked for many of their addresses because I'm going to send them a gift. I'm going to send every lady that shared a story a gift, but I definitely wanted to bring it up on this episode because Heather Tutton shared 2 stories. So I'll share the photos I made for those stories right here. Heather is incredibly inspiring, not only because she soars to the sky, but she's just a strong woman in general and absolutely inspiring. So thank you, ladies. Kate posted for Pestrogen for other things we do, other themes. Feel free to share a speak up story anytime. We need it all the time, not just for a month. So thank you for listening to Pestrogen Podcast.